My dear brothers and sisters, listen carefully. Whatever you are going through right now, it's not the end of your story. That pain in your chest, that heaviness in your heart, that constant worry in your mind, Allah knows it all. He sees your silent battles, your hidden tears, and the moments when you smile just to hide your pain. He knows when you say, "I'm fine," but inside you're breaking. Sometimes your heart feels heavy, not because you're weak, but because you've been carrying things that were never meant for you to carry. You keep trying to fix people, change outcomes, and rewrite moments that are already written. You lose sleep over situations that are already in Allah's control. And the more you try to hold on, the more peace slips away. We live in a world that constantly tells us to take control. Control your future, control your career, control your relationships, control every single part of your life. We're told that success belongs to those who hold the steering wheel tightest. But the truth is, control is an illusion. We think we have it, we chase it, we fight for it, but life keeps proving that it was never ours to begin with. You plan one thing and something completely different happens. You trust someone and they change. You work day and night for something and it slips away. And in those moments, you realize that no matter how careful, smart, or strong you are, there are things that will always be beyond your reach. The illusion of control drains your soul. It makes you believe that everything depends on your effort alone. And when things don't go your way, you start blaming yourself, questioning your worth, and doubting everything, even your prayers. You think, maybe I didn't try hard enough. Maybe I should have done more. But in reality, no one can control what only Allah has written. You can try your best, and you should, but the outcome will always belong to Him. That's not weakness, that's divine order. There are moments when you'll see people doing everything wrong, yet they succeed. And there are times when you do everything right, yet life still knocks you down. It's confusing, isn't it? Because deep down we think if we do good, good should come back. But Allah's plan doesn't always align with our expectations. Sometimes He withholds what you want to protect you. Sometimes He delays it to strengthen you. And sometimes He takes it away completely to replace it with something far greater. The problem is, we only see the now, while He sees forever. Trying to control life is like trying to hold sand in your fist. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. You start worrying about every detail, every possible outcome, every person's reaction. You overthink, overanalyze, and overstress. You forget that you were never meant to manage everything. That's why your heart feels tired. Because it's trying to do a job it was never designed to do. Your heart was created to trust, not to control. When you let go of the illusion of control, you're not giving up. You're finally understanding. You're acknowledging that Allah is the one who manages the affairs of the heavens and the earth. And that includes your life too. Every rise, every fall, every joy, every tear, it all moves according to His plan. Nothing escapes His knowledge. Not a single sigh of your heart goes unnoticed. Think about the times when something didn't work out for you, and later you realized it was a blessing in disguise. At that moment, you felt broken, but now you can see how it saved you. That's the beauty of divine control. It protects you from what you can't see. But to witness that beauty, you have to trust before you understand. You have to let go before you see the reason. Sometimes Allah takes away your control to teach you surrender. He lets plans collapse so you can fall back on Him. Because if life always went your way, your heart would never learn to rely on Him. He removes your illusion of power so you can discover the truth. That real strength is not in controlling, it's in trusting. So, when things don't go as planned, don't panic. Don't question your worth. Don't think you failed. You didn't fail. You were redirected. Allah didn't forget you. He's guiding you. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to have faith in the one who does. Your job is to make effort, pray sincerely, and then leave the rest to Him. Because the moment you stop fighting for control and start trusting the controller, your heart will find the peace it's been searching for. Let go of what you can't control, people's actions, the timing of your blessings, the things that didn't last. Instead, focus on what you can control, your prayers, your attitude, your faith. Life becomes lighter when you stop trying to play the role of the Creator and start living as His creation, humble, trusting, and peaceful. The illusion of control may give you anxiety, but surrender gives you serenity. And in that surrender, you'll find the truest kind of freedom, the freedom that comes when your heart finally says, I don't have to control everything because my Lord already does. There comes a time in everyone's life when they get tired, not physically, but emotionally and spiritually, tired of trying to fix everything, tired of fighting battles they cannot win, tired of expecting people to understand what only Allah can see. It's in that moment, when your heart feels drained, that you finally begin to understand the power and peace that come with surrender. Surrender doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean giving up or running away from responsibilities. It means accepting that there's a limit to your control, and beyond that limit lies the wisdom of Allah, a wisdom that never fails. When you surrender to Allah, you're not saying, I quit. You're saying, I trust. You're saying, I've done my part. Now I leave the rest to the one who knows better than me. That is where true peace begins. It's not in knowing how everything will turn out. It's not in being able to control every detail. It's in knowing that even if things fall apart, they'll fall exactly where Allah wants them to be. And when you live with that mindset, you no longer chase peace. Peace chases you. Surrender is a kind of quiet strength. It's when you wake up in the morning, unsure of how the day will go, but still whisper, Why Allah, whatever happens today, I trust your plan. It's when your heart breaks, but instead of questioning why, you say, there must be care in this too. It's when you lose something precious, but deep down you know that what's written for you will never miss you. This level of faith doesn't come from ease. It comes from being broken, from being disappointed, from being tested, and then realizing that Allah was with you through it all. People often confuse surrender with laziness or passiveness, but that's not what it is. Surrender is an act of courage. It takes strength to stop resisting what's written. It takes trust to let go of your own plans and believe that Allah's plan is better, even when it doesn't make sense. The ego wants control. The heart wants peace. And peace only begins when the ego is silent and the heart says, I trust you, Allah. When you truly surrender, your entire perspective changes. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, what can I learn from this? You stop begging for things that aren't written for you and start praying for contentment in whatever Allah has chosen. You begin to see life differently. The setbacks no longer feel like punishments, they feel like protection. The delays no longer feel like denials, they feel like divine preparation. You start to realize that even when you lose something, you gain something far greater. Closeness to Allah. Surrender brings a calmness that no success, no wealth, no person can ever give. Because that calmness doesn't come from outside. It comes from within, from your connection with your Creator. You start living lighter. You stop overthinking. You stop fearing the unknown because you know who controls the unknown. You start sleeping peacefully because you know the one who never sleeps is taking care of everything. That's the kind of peace people search for their whole lives. Yet it's only found when you stop fighting Allah's plan. There's a hidden beauty in letting go. It frees you from the chains of worry. You don't have to figure everything out anymore. You don't have to carry every burden alone. You don't have to understand every delay, every hardship, every test. You just have to trust that Allah understands it all, and that's enough. When you surrender, your heart whispers a truth that no pain can silence. Allah knows. Allah sees. Allah will handle it. So if you're tired of worrying, tired of forcing, tired of questioning, maybe it's not because you've lost control, but because you were never meant to have it in the first place. Maybe it's time to surrender, not as a sign of weakness, but as an act of faith. Let your heart rest in the hands of the one who created it. Let your plans be guided by the one who knows what's best. Because the peace you're searching for doesn't come from controlling life. It comes from surrendering to the one who controls it all. And once you reach that point, nothing can shake you anymore. You may still face storms, but your heart will remain calm. Because you know that the same Allah who allowed the storm is the one who can bring the rainbow after it. That's the peace of surrender. When you finally realize that letting go is not losing, it's trusting. And in that trust, your heart finds the peace it was created for. Life has a way of testing your patience in the most unexpected moments. Sometimes, everything seems to fall apart all at once. Your plans crumble, your relationships become strained, your efforts go unnoticed, and your heart feels like it's losing strength. In those moments, the natural reaction is panic. You start to question why things are happening the way they are. You rush to find solutions to fix what's broken, to escape the pain. But panic never brings peace. It only clouds your judgment, weakens your faith, and distances your heart from the calmness that comes with trust. Patience, on the other hand, is what transforms chaos into clarity. It's what allows you to stand still in the storm and still believe that Allah's mercy is greater than your difficulty. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing your best without losing your peace. It's the quiet strength that keeps you steady when everything around you is shaking. It's the voice that says, "Be still. This too shall pass." In a world where everyone wants instant results and quick answers, patience feels like a forgotten art. We expect our prayers to be answered instantly, our pain to end overnight, and our problems to disappear as soon as we cry out. But Allah teaches us through waiting. Because in the waiting, hearts are purified, faith is tested, and souls are strengthened. When you panic, you act from fear. But when you practice patience, you act from faith. Panic says, everything is falling apart. Patience says, everything is falling into place. Panic blinds you to the wisdom behind your struggle, while patience opens your eyes to the hidden mercy within it. Allah doesn't delay because He forgot about you. He delays because He knows the right time for your heart to receive what it's asking for. If you got everything when you wanted it, you would never learn gratitude, humility, or dependence on Him. Patience teaches you that timing is divine and that sometimes silence from Allah is not rejection, it's protection. Every difficulty in life is like a seed planted in the soil. You can't see what's happening beneath the ground, but something beautiful is growing. If you panic and dig it up too soon, you destroy what could have blossomed. Patience is what allows you to wait for that seed to grow into something extraordinary. It's trusting the process even when you can't see the results yet. It's saying, Ya Allah, I don't know what's happening, but I trust that you're preparing something good for me. That's the kind of faith that brings peace even in pain. The truth is, impatience is rooted in fear. Fear that things won't work out. Fear that we'll miss out. Fear that we're forgotten. But faith and fear cannot live in the same heart. You have to choose which one you'll feed. If you choose faith, patience will naturally follow. And patience brings calmness. A calmness that no situation can shake. It's the calmness that comes when you realize that Allah is managing your affairs far better than you ever could. Think of the times when you were desperate for something and you didn't get it. Maybe you were heartbroken then, but later, when the truth unfolded, you understood why Allah said no. That's the beauty of patience. It reveals meaning over time. It turns your why me into alhamdulillah. I see now. Every time you choose patience over panic, you grow closer to Allah, because patience is not just waiting, it's worship. It's one of the purest forms of faith. So when your heart starts racing with worry, remind yourself panic solves nothing, but patience changes everything. When you feel like giving up, remember that even the darkest night ends with dawn. Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear, and He never lets pain go unrewarded. Every tear, every moment of silence, every deep breath you take instead of reacting, it's all recorded. And one day, you'll look back and realize that what felt like waiting was actually preparation for something better. Patience is not a punishment, it's a gift. It's Allah's way of strengthening your heart before He fulfills your prayer. So next time you're tested, don't rush. Don't panic. Just breathe and say, my Lord knows, my Lord sees, my Lord will take care of it. Because the truth is, patience doesn't delay your blessing. It aligns it perfectly with the time it was meant for. And when that time comes, you'll understand that the waiting was worth it, the silence had meaning, and the pain had purpose. That is the beauty of choosing patience over panic. It doesn't just change your situation, it transforms your soul. Faith in the unseen is one of the most powerful and beautiful forms of belief. It's easy to trust when you can see the results, when life feels smooth, when prayers are answered right away. But true faith begins when everything around you looks uncertain, when doors seem closed, when your heart feels heavy and yet you still say, Allah will make a way. That kind of faith is rare. It's quiet, deep, and unshakable. It doesn't depend on circumstances, it depends on conviction. It's believing in Allah's plan, even when your eyes can't see the evidence, but your heart feels the assurance that He's working behind the scenes. Every believer faces moments when the path ahead is unclear. You don't know what tomorrow holds. You don't know how the situation will resolve. And you don't know why things are happening the way they are. In those moments, faith in the unseen becomes your light. It guides you when logic fails, when your efforts seem useless, when all you can do is whisper, La Allah, I trust you. And somehow, that whisper becomes enough to keep you going. The unseen is not just about what we cannot see physically, it's also about trusting the divine wisdom that we cannot comprehend. Sometimes Allah hides things from you not to hurt you but to protect you. You may not understand why a prayer is unanswered or why a door remains closed, but Allah sees the future you cannot. Faith in the unseen means believing that His silence is not neglect, His delay is not denial, and His plan is never random. Everything He does has purpose, even the pain. When you live with faith in the unseen, you start to experience a new kind of peace. You stop demanding proof and start embracing patience. You stop questioning every test and start trusting that every test carries a lesson. The heart that truly believes in the unseen knows that even when life feels uncertain, Allah's mercy is constant. He is Al-Latif, the subtle one, who arranges every detail in your favor, even when you don't realize it. Faith in the unseen also means believing in Allah's promises. He promised that after hardship comes ease. He promised that every tear will be replaced with joy. He promised that no prayer goes unheard, no pain goes unseen, and no effort goes unrewarded. The challenge is that you don't always see those promises unfolding immediately. But faith is trusting that they will in the perfect time. It's easy to lose hope when you can't see progress, but sometimes what looks like stillness is actually preparation. Allah might be aligning people, moments, and circumstances in ways you can't imagine. When you can't see the way forward, faith says, there is a way, and Allah knows it. When you can't find the strength to keep going, faith says, Allah will carry me through. When you can't understand why something was taken away, faith says, it must not have been meant for me. That's what it means to live with faith in the unseen. To find peace not in having all the answers, but in trusting the one who does. Look at how nature reflects this truth. A seed is buried in the darkness of the soil, unseen for weeks, yet it grows quietly into something beautiful. Rain falls from clouds you cannot touch, but gives life to everything on earth. The air you breathe, the heartbeat that keeps you alive, all unseen yet essential. If Allah can make unseen forces sustain the entire universe, how could He ever fail to take care of your heart? Faith in the unseen teaches humility. It reminds you that not everything needs to be explained or understood. Sometimes your only job is to believe, even when believing hurts. Sometimes you have to trust that Allah's plan is working in silence. Maybe the blessing you prayed for is still on its way, wrapped in time, waiting for the moment when your heart is ready to receive it. So when doubt whispers, remind yourself you are not walking alone. Just because you can't see the path doesn't mean it's not there. Allah has already written every step, every turn, every outcome. And one day, you'll look back and realize that everything made sense. Every delay, every detour, every unanswered prayer. Faith in the unseen isn't just about believing that Allah can do something. It's believing that He will, in the best possible way, at the best possible time. That is the essence of true faith, trusting the unseen hand of Allah guiding your seen life. When you learn to walk with that kind of trust, you no longer fear the unknown because you know who controls it. There comes a moment in life when you realize that no matter how much you think, plan, or worry, some things are simply beyond your control. You've done your best, you've exhausted every option, and yet the outcome remains uncertain. That's when trust becomes your only refuge. Trust isn't about ignoring effort. It's about knowing that after your effort, there's a higher power guiding what happens next. It's about understanding that the same Lord who gave you strength to try will also decide what's best for you. And in that realization lies a deep, unshakable relief, the kind that no amount of control could ever bring. When you truly trust Allah, a strange calmness fills your heart. The same situation that once brought you anxiety now brings you peace. You stop replaying the what-ifs in your mind because you know that everything happened exactly as it was meant to. You stop questioning the delays because you know that His timing is perfect. You stop chasing answers because you found contentment in His wisdom. This is the kind of relief that comes not from the world changing around you, but from your heart changing within you. Trust is not always easy. It requires you to let go of your fears, to release the grip you have on things you thought you could control. It means surrendering your plan for Allah's plan, even when you don't understand it. It's in those moments of confusion and loss that trust is tested the most. Anyone can say they trust when life is going smoothly, but real trust is when the storm hits and your heart still whispers, Allah is with me. That whisper is powerful. It's the bridge between despair and peace. When you trust Allah, you're not denying reality. You're acknowledging a greater reality. You're saying, yes, this is hard. Yes, I don't see the way out, but I believe there is one because my Lord never abandons me. That belief changes everything. It turns pain into patience, fear into faith, and confusion into clarity. It doesn't mean the problem disappears instantly, but it means you find peace even while it's still there. You start to carry your trials differently, not with panic, but with purpose. Every time you choose trust over worry, you free your heart from a burden it was never meant to bear. Because worry is heavy. It drains your energy, clouds your mind, and steals your joy. But trust is light. It lifts you up. It reminds you that you were never alone in the first place. When you stop fighting Allah's decree and start trusting His wisdom, life becomes lighter. You begin to see that what you once thought was a setback was actually a setup, a preparation for something greater. The truth is, trust doesn't change the situation, it changes you. It gives you the strength to face whatever comes without breaking inside. It gives you hope when logic says there's none. It gives you patience when time feels endless. That's why Allah tells us to rely upon Him completely. Because He knows that the human heart was not created to handle life alone. It was created to depend on Him. When you finally let go of your need to control, you make room for His mercy to flow freely into your life. Think of it this way. When a child is lost in a crowd and finds their parent's hand, their tears here stop instantly. The situation hasn't changed. They're still in the same place, but the fear disappears because of who they're holding on to. That's what trust in Allah feels like. The noise of life may still surround you, but your heart feels safe because it's anchored to the one who never lets go. So whenever you feel anxious about what's coming, remind yourself you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to control every outcome. You just need to trust the one who already knows. Say, La Allah, I hand this over to you. You know what I don't, and you see what I can't. And then let your heart rest. Because the moment you place your trust in Allah, you've already won half the battle. That's where true relief begins. Not when everything finally makes sense, but when you stop trying to make sense of everything and start believing that Allah's plan has always been perfect. You realize that peace isn't found in control, it's found in connection. The connection between your heart and your Creator. And once that connection is strong, no matter how uncertain life becomes, your soul remains calm. Because deep down you know the one you've trusted has never failed you before, and He never will. Letting go. 2 simple words. Yet one of the hardest things a human heart can do. We hold on to people, to memories, to expectations, to plans we thought were perfect. We hold on to what once made us happy, even when it now causes us pain. We hold on because we're afraid of what life will look like without it. Afraid of change, afraid of loss. But the truth is, holding on to what's no longer meant for you doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. And sometimes, the greatest act of strength is not in fighting harder, but in letting go and trusting that Allah knows what He's doing. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you forget. It means you stop trying to force outcomes that are not written for you. It means you release your grip on things that were only meant to be part of your story for a season, not forever. It's recognizing that Allah removes things, not to harm you, but to protect your peace, your growth, and your faith. Sometimes He has to empty your hands so He can fill them with something better. But if you keep holding on to what's gone, you'll never be ready to receive what's coming. Many people mistake letting go for weakness, as if giving up means you didn't try hard enough. But true strength is knowing when to fight and when to surrender. It takes courage to walk away from what's familiar, even when it hurts. It takes deep faith to accept that something didn't work out, not because you failed, but because Allah has a wiser plan. You may not see it now, but one day when you look back, you'll realize that what you lost was never truly yours. It was only borrowed for a time. Letting go also means freeing yourself from the weight of the past. Too often, we keep replaying old moments, old words, old wounds as if they still define us. But how can you move forward if you're always looking backward? The pain you keep holding on to cannot heal you. It only keeps the wound open. The more you dwell on what hurt you, the more power you give it. But the moment you say, Ya Allah, I leave this in your hands, the healing begins. Because what your heart cannot carry, Allah can. What your mind cannot solve, Allah already has a plan for. There is peace in release, a quiet, sacred kind of peace that only comes after tears, prayers, and surrender. When you finally let go, it feels like taking a deep breath after years of holding it in. The burden lifts, not because the situation has changed, but because your heart has. You stop trying to rewrite what Allah has already written. You stop fighting for what isn't meant for you. And in that moment, you discover a freedom you didn't know existed. The freedom to live without fear of what's next. Because you trust the one who controls it. Sometimes Allah makes you let go because you've outgrown the place or person you're clinging to. He knows your heart better than you do. He knows that what you're holding on to might be keeping you from something far greater. And sometimes He closes doors because if they stayed open, you would never move forward. You'd never learn to depend on Him fully. Letting go teaches you that your heart is not sustained by what you hold, but by who holds you. Think about a bird learning to fly. The mother pushes it out of the nest, not to harm it, but to help it discover its wings. In the same way, Allah sometimes pushes you out of comfort so you can grow, so you can rise, so you can become who you're meant to be. Letting go is not losing, it's flying. It's trusting that even though you can't see where you're headed, Allah will carry you there. So if there's something in your life you've been struggling to release, a person, a situation, a dream, remind yourself that you're not letting go into emptiness. You're letting go into Allah's care. You're saying, I trust you more than I trust my emotions. And that is one of the most powerful statements of faith a person can make. Strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it's that quiet moment when you stop fighting, wipe your tears, and say, I leave it to you, my Lord. That is strength. That is surrender. And that is the beginning of peace. Because when you finally let go, you don't lose control. You gain freedom. You make space for Allah to replace what's gone with something better, purer, and more aligned with your purpose. Letting go is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter written by the one who knows your heart better than anyone else.